Now, it's interesting. Some fairly heavyweight scientists have recently weighed in on the debate about face covering. Or not so much the debate, it's just the sheer inactivity in relation to face covering. So I thought that was worth looking at now. Now, we'll just start off with a survey carried out by the BBC here. Actually, I don't think the BBC carried it out, but they reported on it. Now, this is to do with the degree of people in public places wearing face covering. Now, I don't know how big a survey this was, but what they found in public places in the UK, it was 25% wearing face coverings. So not very good, really. In Italy, it was 83.4%, so much better. Now, I know the United States is a big place, but they did find that overall, mask wearing in the United States was really not too bad at all. 65%, and Spain 63%. So Italy clearly the leaders there, and the UK really quite lamentable, really. Now, the problem in the UK is that it's not really cultural to wear masks. It's not part of our culture like it is in many places in Asia. Masks is kind of associated with bank robbers and people that want to hide their identity. So it's not part of our culture. But what we've said all the way through in these podcasts is that we need to divorce aspects of our culture which are bad for the pandemic and incorporate aspects of our culture which are good for the pandemic. So way back we talked about people kissing shrines in Iran, which is clearly bad. I mean, that's part of their culture. It's part of their religious practice, but it needs to be suspended for a period of time. Or we looked at people attending churches in the United States, for example, where there was large gatherings and outbreaks. It's part of the culture there to attend church, which of course is brilliant. But it needs to be suspended for a period of time. It's quite possible, of course, to pray at home. You don't need to have these events for this particular period of time because it's going to spread the virus. So it's kind of trying to divorce our culture from what is expedient for a period of time. And to be fair, that's what the British are particularly bad at. And it's not just us. The United States are quite bad at it as well. So part of the culture in the United States is this freedom of the individual, which of course is a wonderful concept. But you mustn't be free to harm other people. And that is happening because people are not socially distancing, for example. We have to suspend aspects of culture for a period of time. And in the UK, that is simply not being done, or it's been done very slowly. So that was late April, and in public places in the UK, it's probably not a lot better now. We'll have a look at some exceptions. Now, the reason that this struck my attention was Professor Ramakrishnan, a well-known scientist in the UK. He's the leader of the Royal Society. Now, the Royal Society is kind of this esoteric group of scientists. They've got large premises in London where they meet up for lectures and things, and there's people that are members of the Royal Society. If the Professor Ramakrishnan is watching, I am available for membership. I'm currently not a member. It's a pretty elite group of basically research scientists. But anyway, this is what Professor Ramakrishnan is saying. Now, this is not some random arbitrary scientist. This guy's a Nobel Prize winner. You know, he's a Nobel laureate. This is top flight scientists speaking here. Public remain sceptical about their benefits. Well, that's true. So the message is not getting through to the public. Now, this is so basic, I hesitated to do this video. But the message is not getting through about their benefits and how cost effective it is. Would you like to spend billions on healthcare? Would you like to spend billions on locking down the economy? Or would you like to spend essentially nothing with a slight modification of social change and start wearing face covering? I mean, it's just a complete no contest. We can do something that's free and efficacious, or we can do something that costs billions of pounds and dollars and has got questionable efficacy. So public remains sceptical. So this message really needs to get across. And the professor says this, the message has not been clear enough. This is not coming from government. We need a clear message. We need a clear lead, as we have had in Taiwan, for example. Guidelines have been inconsistent. Well, this is true. Guidelines have been inconsistent. And this is not what we need. We need consistency of message. And so far, we have not been getting this. So this is what the professor's saying. What we would like for the government is to be a bit stronger and clearer about the messaging and require it whenever you are in public crowded spaces. And you can't get more than 2 meters apart from the next person. So what the scientists are calling for here is a strong message, bit stronger, they're being polite, I'd say a lot stronger message, and clearer about this messaging. So what we're saying is that if you are in, there's some ambiguity about this. So if you're in an open public area and you're meters away from the next person, so if you're in an outdoor area and you're meters away from the next person, then the risk is very small. But if you're indoors and the virus is hanging around in the air, then the risk becomes very significant. So public spaces indoors, it's absolutely important to wear a mask, face covering, if you can't maintain good social distancing. But even if you are indoors and you are maintaining social distancing, but you're there for a period of time, then the air is going to gradually work its way between individuals. So we want this stronger messaging from the government, and the message needs to be clear about public spaces. So I'm completely with this. And he says it should be considered antisocial not to wear a mask. So you wouldn't go into a shop and start smoking a cigarette or doing something else that causes air pollution. And yet this air pollution in terms of invisible viruses seems to be acceptable. Well, it should be considered antisocial not to wear a mask in indoor public places and in crowded outdoor public places as well. Public transport and hospitals already masks are being worn, of course, so that's good. Now, in Scotland, it's mandatory in public transport, the same as the UK, and it's going to be mandated for people in shops to wear masks from the 10th of July in Scotland. So, alas, we see Scotland is ahead of England here. Good for Scotland. England, please catch up. England, Wales, Northern Ireland, please catch up. World Health Organization has been advising masks and face coverings since June. So that was the English side of the pond. Now, on the other side, in the United States, the message is the same. So, for example, Professor Paul Edelstein is a medical doctor, academic researcher, teacher, University of Pennsylvania. And he's saying the same thing. Evidence that they protect other people is getting clearer all the time. So if I'm an infected person, I'm going to protect myself from you, so you're not going to catch the virus from me. So as an infected person, I'm going to be shedding the virus. And this message is becoming clearer all the time. Some evidence they protect the wearer. So the main reason to wear a mask is to protect the uninfected person from the infected person. And of course, the infected person doesn't know whether they're infected or not. They may be asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. But there is some evidence they protect the wearer as well. So lots of protection from an infected person to the people round about them. Some protection from the uninfected person wearing the face covering as well. There are people without symptoms going about their daily business who are unknowingly breathing out droplets that are carrying the virus. So yeah, this is what we know. This is being confirmed. If they had their face covered, the majority of those droplets would be caught before they can infect other people. This could break the chains of transmission. Wearing face coverings can help save lives and prevent disabling illness. I mean, what is hard to understand here? This is all good, and yet it's not happening. It's not being mandated in indoor public spaces. So that's major scientists basically. So we've got this professor from Pennsylvania. We've got this professor from the Royal Society, and they're both agreeing that mask wearing should be done. And there's only point having scientists if we're going to do what they say. So I just felt I should sort of come up to date on that. Now, I'm going to give the answer to the quiz now. Now, you might remember the quiz was about the immunoglobulins. So question 1 was immunoglobulin type. What immunoglobulin comes first when we're developing an immune response? So Ig for immunoglobulin type M is the first one. And that gives immediate action. So it's the IgMs that come first. Then the IgGs is the agglutinating antibodies. And we'll see what that means in a minute. So these come first and don't last for as long. These come second but stay in the blood for longer is the answer. Although not that long in the case of COVID-19. The antibodies that are present in the mucous membranes are the IgAs. So saliva, sweat, tears are where the IgAs are found. Now there's another one called IgE that I didn't bore you with. And that's the one that can cause, you might have heard of anaphylactic reactions. That occurs in type 1 hypersensitivity reactions with all these E's in it as well. And that's what Kathleen learnt at vet school. So I thought that was a rather good way to do it. Now, what I mean by agglutinating is, what happens is, these are pictures from my, let's get rid of me here a minute. These are pictures from my physiology notes book. Don't want me, sorry. That's what we want. Right, these are pictures from my physiology notes book. Now, the antigen is anything the body recognises as foreign. So here's the foreign particles, whether it's a virus or a bacteria. That's the antigen. And the antigen have particular properties. They have particular chemical properties on their surface. These proteins here, these are actually called epitopes. And what the immune system does is the immune system makes these antibodies. So this is the antibody or the immunoglobulin. And that's what's made by the immune system. And that has a variable region on the end that can fit in like this. So it all fits together like that. And what that has done is that has one arm there is tied onto that bit of that antigen. One arm there is tied onto that antigen. And that has clumped two together, and of course that can happen many times, and when it happens many times, that's the process called agglutination. It clumps them all together. So here we have, imagine these were viral particles, then the immune system is clumping all these together so the viruses aren't free to wander around damaging and entering new cells. And as well as that, you can see that the antibodies are neutralizing these infective spikes on the virus. So that's the way that the antibodies work. So the answer was question 1, that the ones that come first are the IgMs, the ones that come second and last for longer are the IgGs, and the ones in mucous membrane are the IgAs.